How we doing? How we doing? This is Destination Denver, Colorado, and today we're talking Castle Rock, Colorado. I've got 10 legit pros. I've got 5 real cons. We're talking about one of the Denver Metro's most popular suburbs, and we're starting right now. All right, this is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everetzel, and there are 2 things we do here. 1, we talk all things eating, living, breathing, experiencing the Denver Metro and the Colorado Front Range. And 2, as a licensed mortgage broker covering the entire state of Colorado and team with some of the state's most talented realtors, I'm helping people like you move here each and every day. So the number and email you see on your screen, just know that I am always the person, answer your phone calls, answer your texts, answer your emails, there, winning if you need me. Now that we're done with that fun-filled stuff, let's get to what we're here for, and that is living in Castle Rock, Colorado. All right, so this is not going to be one of those videos where we bounce back and forth. I'm going to give you 10 reasons you might want to live in Castle Rock, and then I'm going to give you 5 reasons that people I know, colleagues, clients, friends, people who live in Castle Rock have told me you don't want to live here, or reasons why they moved. So first and foremost, we have to talk about the fact that Castle Rock is located roughly 30 to 45 minutes south of Denver. I say that because if there is no traffic, you can get there really quickly, and if there is traffic and you're heading from North Denver, it's gonna take you 45 minutes to an hour. What that means to you right off the bat, and this isn't a pro necessarily or a con, is that people who like Denver and they wanna have access to the city, you're close enough to where you can get there in a reasonable period of time. And at the same time, if you want nothing to do with Denver, you're far enough away to where you don't feel this sense of, oh, we're a suburb of Denver. Castle Rock is genuinely its own town. And that is its first real pro, and that is the fact that it has that real town identity. Growing up as a kid here in Colorado, we used to drive from Denver down to Pueblo, which is in South Colorado, and Castle Rock used to be this little dimple. You saw the Castle Rock itself. It's a very scenic area. It had these outlet malls that still exist. It's a big draw there, but that was it. But Castle Rock is now this real town. It has an actual downtown. It is not a spillover suburb in any way, shape, or form. The downtown exists. It's used. Its people care about it. It has events. It has restaurants. It has local shops. It's not just kind of this decorative area and decorative town. And why does this matter? Well, because a lot of these subdivisions, a lot of these suburbs of Denver, they don't have their own identity. They're just kind of a spillover. They're a suburb, whereas Castle Rock is not in its essence. It's considered a suburb of Denver, but it is its own town. The next pro is that Castle Rock is part of Douglas County. Douglas County has become more and more popular, especially really as we got into the pandemic, and there's a lot of government regulation that creates this popularity. So 1, you're gonna see lower overall tax burdens compared to Denver County. You're gonna see faster permitting. Things tend to move faster in Douglas County. Can't wait to see the comments on that, get after it. And then you have, again, less regulatory chaos. That doesn't mean it's a free-for-all. I just feel like it's a lot more efficient in Douglas County. They also, just gonna be real with you, they don't put up with certain things, especially related to crime, that they might in other areas. Douglas County does not mess around. And so if you like predictability and you like fewer surprise rules, then Douglas County is gonna be a great fit for you. Next up, I would say that you have these distinct neighborhood personalities, that you don't feel like you're just going from one block to the next, that there is definitely an energy change, a vibe change, if you will, as you go from one neighborhood to the other. So you have the Meadows, you have Founders, Castle Pines Village, you've got Crystal Valley. These areas, like I said, they all feel different. They're not copy and paste, they're not cookie cutter. Now some are heavy HOA. You do need to be aware of that. There's a lot of new construction in Castle Rock, and that tends to, come along with HOAs. But it's polished, it's clean, it's got a nice look to it. There are other neighborhoods, and some of them, I wouldn't say old, but older, that are more relaxed. They're more lived in. They're, again, I always talk about like mature trees and larger lots, and that's what you'll see in some of the older neighborhoods. But it's not as though you drive through Castle Rock and just see the same after the same after the same. It's very distinct. And I'll tell you right now, that variety is not universal through Colorado suburbs. There's some that capture it. There's some that do a very good job of it. But there are a lot of suburbs. There's parts of Lakewood where I live where if I took you to 3 different neighborhoods in Lakewood, 4 or 5 different neighborhoods in Lakewood, you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference other than maybe if one had more hills than the other. Next up, and again, this can kind of go back and forth, but you're not necessarily trapped off of I-25. So Castle Rock is basically cut in half by I-25. I shouldn't say cut in half anymore because so much of its growth is on the east side of the highway, but I-25 runs right through the heart of Castle Rock, right near the outlet malls, right near its downtown. And so yes, it's south of Denver, but Castle Rock is on I-25. It's not buried off of it. You don't have to take a bunch of service streets and figure out where you're going to get to I-25. So you're not doing some like 20-minute drive just to get to a highway for the most part. So the translation to you is that your drive time, your ability to commute is much more predictable, much so more than a Highlands Ranch, a Parker, a Far East Aurora, where in those communities you typically have to get on a lot of service roads before you get to a freeway. And we're up to number 5 if you're counting. Another thing that people really like about Castle Rock is that it's not trying to be Denver. And not just from a standpoint of trying to be a city when it's a town, but Castle Rock, it hasn't tried to rebrand itself as urban. It does not chase nightlife culture. It doesn't go late into the night. If that's your thing, you're living there, you're gonna need to visit elsewhere, or you're not gonna wanna live there at all. And it's not forcing density from everywhere. There are areas where there's a lot of houses, a lot of structure packed into a small area, but that's not their goal. Density is something that they pay a lot of attention to. So again, the character of Castle Rock is something that, in my opinion, they've done a really good job of holding on to. It's certainly a slower pace. It's certainly a community that people use the term safe a lot in, and it's one that you don't necessarily, again, need to have a family, but is very popular for families, and they're taking pride in that. They're not straying away from that at all. So I do think it's a key distinction for people who are moving here. Maybe you're single, maybe you want a little more nightlife. You want to getting into some different circles. It's something you're going to be aware of. The Castle Rock's a cool little town, but you're not big city. You're not going out all night. It's going to miss that element. Next up is the strong resale ability of this community, and that has been a key component, something that people have talked about a lot over the last few years. It's not just growth, that it's sustainability. So Castle Rock does not lead the metro in appreciation spikes. It's not the community that, everywhere in the Denver metro for the most part took off during the pandemic, but not to the extent other communities did. Now, the nice thing is that because Castle Rock is more steady when it comes to appreciation, you also see less declines. You see, again, that more predictability. This attracts families, it attracts long-term homeowners, it attracts people who tend to stay put because they know what they're getting and they know that it's going to benefit them long-term. And what this means to you as a potential homeowner is that it stabilizes pricing for the long term. Next up, and this is such a key element of Colorado living, and that is your outdoor access and the different amenities you have are actually available to you all the time. It's not one of those situations where, sure, everything in Colorado can get a little too crowded, but you have access to these great things. It's not an I'll go someday access point. It's daily that you can go do these things. So you've got Castlewood Canyon, you've got Ridgeline, you've got Philip S. Miller Park. They're right there. It's not a weekend getaway. It's not we have to plan for the mountain life. You have it right there. You can go any day and you don't need a lot of time to get to any of them. One of my favorite elements of Castle Rock, and one that is brought to my attention time and time again by people who live there and people who have lived there, is that there is a better separation, at least in their experience, from work and home. Now, Castle Rock is very popular for people who work remotely, people who don't necessarily have to make a commute to Denver or Broomfield or what have you, even the tech center. So the nice thing, again, about that distance is that Castle Rock is far enough out that people don't casually commute everywhere. Work tends to stay a bit more contained, and even remote workers have said that they feel their off hours, that they enjoy the community and getting out and about. So there is more of that distinction, something that people, especially that live closer to downtown Denver or say Greenwood Village near the Denver Tech Center, they kind of have an opposite reaction where they say sometimes it's tough to get away from work. Castle Rock, they feel very comfortably that they do. One of my favorite pros of this video, and one that was shared by several people as I asked them questions about Castle Rock, was the positive responses you got about downtown Castle Rock. And not just where downtown Castle Rock is today, but where it's going. The fact that downtown Castle Rock is still in the upswing. It hasn't capped. It's not like one of some other downtown areas that might have kind of seen its best day, or there's not room for growth. So you're buying into a place that is really improving organically. Like they're slowly but surely putting more of these puzzle pieces together. And don't get me wrong, downtown Castle Rock is not this like huge, extraordinary experience, but it's just enough. It's very cool. And the fact that it's not or has not been built overnight, the fact that they're piecing it together, they got a cool river walk, they got several blocks of walkability, it just keeps getting better. And I love the fact, and that's what I kept hearing, that it has not peaked. Like we feel like it'll keep getting better. And the last one, and again, this is going to cater to a lot of people, and I want to be upfront. Some people are not going to like this, and that is the slower pace of living that Castle Rock brings. Now, I think that's something that you're going to find in most suburbs to begin with, but in these, kind of small town feels, you have this slower social pace. And there's a lot of people that actually want that. So Castle Rock skews. It is more family centric. It's less transient. You do get more natives, or at least more people who have lived in Colorado for an extended period of time and plan to continue to. It's less of a scene-driven, personality. You don't have a lot of people who are like, I'm going to Castle Rock for, the scene down there. It's more of just that community feel. It's not exciting for a lot of people. I mean, they say that. It's not exciting, but that also depends on the season of life. I mean, I think for certain people who are looking for just a great community with a lot of walkability, where you feel like you can go out at any time of the day and just feel like safe and secure and welcome, that is the exciting part for a lot of people. And is Castle Rock peaceful? That's one of the biggest terms that was used when I asked people about Castle Rock. And I have to say, in my experiences in Castle Rock, it is a very peaceful place. Now, it can't be all sunshine and rainbows. Things can't always be perfect about a community. So when I asked people, and I had an idea of what I didn't like or what I thought people wouldn't like about Castle Rock, but when I asked them, here were the 5 negatives, the 5 cons that they gave me. And the first was that you're gonna have to drive a lot. And this obviously came from people who do not work remote, completely different world. But a lot of people who commuted, even if it was Greenwood Village, which is, the Denver Tech Center, which is South Denver. If you had to go into Denver, if you had to be north of Denver, that was kind of the worst feedback I got. People who had to go down to Colorado Springs or up into, let's say the heart, if not north of Denver, that's a lot of driving. That can easily turn into 45 minutes to an hour plus per day if you have traffic. So if you have an office that is located, if it says on Google that your clear drive is 35 to 40 minutes, be prepared that could easily turn into an hour if you get a little bit of traffic. And there was also talk that it's not walkable within it. Like if you like going to downtown, prepare that you're gonna have to drive there. It's not a ton of walkability there. You're gonna have to drive to grocery stores, you're gonna have to drive to schools, activities. So if walkability is a top priority, Castle Rock might not be for you. Now, again, playing devil's advocate a little bit, I don't know of many communities anywhere other than living downtown in Denver where you're gonna walk to everything you wanna do. But if you are okay with making a quick 5 to 10 minute drive within Castle Rock, you're gonna be just fine. So not surprising, one of the biggest feedbacks was that Castle Rock has good restaurants, not necessarily great, and not necessarily a lot of variety behind them. And people tend to rotate through their favorites. They kind of have their go-tos. And if they want something different, that's when they make that drive to Denver. They go farther north. They do the 30, 45 minute drive to get to a different restaurant. But looking locally, you're gonna see a lot of chains. You're gonna see a lot of good, but you're not getting blown away by the restaurant or the bar scene in Castle Rock. Next up, and honestly, I didn't even have to ask people, I just hear about it, is that in some communities, the HOA intensity is real. And this is a nationwide thing. The more new construction you have, the more HOAs that exist. So many neighborhoods have strict architectural rules. Only certain things you can do. They have active enforcement. So you're talking some neighborhoods where, your garage door's open, your trash cans are out, forget like painting your house pink. They're a bit more aggressive than that. And some of them having limited flexibility. And again, this is an HOA nature. You just have a lot of new construction, new communities in Castle Rock where, these HOAs are not messing around. So, a lot of people are okay with this. If you value uniformity, you like the fact that people are gonna take care of their yards, you don't mind putting your trash cans in, no issues. For the people that want to be able to make a lot of decisions on their own home, you definitely feel their frustration about some of these HOAs. kind of playing off of one of the other ones when I talked about driving a lot, and a lot of that feedback was people who lived, within Castle Rock and didn't like driving everywhere within. The other is the South Side bias as far as your jobs. If you're located in the Denver Tech Center, it's going to be pretty easy. But a lot of the jobs that people are looking at, especially when it comes to tech, is downtown Denver, it's Boulder, it's North Denver. That drive will mentally break you. I know I'm kind of playing off of another, but I did want to draw a distinction there. My fault is that there was people who talked about that you're going to have to drive everywhere within Castle Rock, and then for your job, you might just have to drive. And then the last con, and this is one that, kind of really hit home for me, and especially as many people as I talk to off of this channel who are moving here from out of state, is that it can be tough to break into social circles. That you have a lot of people, Castle Rock is less transient. There are, more natives. There are more people that have lived here for multiple years. There are more people who are established. They've been in the community for a long time. I believe Colorado and I believe the Denver Metro is welcoming. I believe natives are welcoming, but we're not, I'm just gonna be real, we're not Midwest welcoming. We're not the people who you move in next door and we invite you over and you meet everybody else from the block. That may exist in some neighborhoods, but pretty rare. You also have more family-oriented lifestyles in Castle Rock. So people kind of tend to do stuff with their own family, doing their own thing. So meeting new friends, kind of breaking into these different social groups can be challenging in Castle Rock. And that was a big piece of feedback I got. And the comment that I heard from a few different people is that it's not that people aren't friendly. It's not that they're not kind and they're not welcoming. They're just not necessarily actively looking for new friends. So they don't prioritize, spending time with you, getting to know you. It's not a personal thing. It's not that they have anything against you. It's just not what they're focused on. So who is Castle Rock perfect for and who would probably do better looking elsewhere? So off the top of my head, families who want stability over trendiness, they're gonna like Castle Rock. People who are done with Denver, maybe they're done with the politics, they're done with the density, they just kind of want a more laid back feel. You have buyers who value like a town identity. They don't just want a suburb, they want a town. They want to know that they'll have resale ability and they'll have steadiness in the market. They're gonna like Castle Rock. And then anybody who wants space without having to go full rural, where you're out in the sticks, Castle Rock is going to give that to you. Who's gonna struggle with Castle Rock? Well, your walkability lovers, again, if you like walking around from one place to another. Your nightlife first personalities. Again, is there, a bar you can grab a beer after work with your friends? Of course. Are you gonna be out until 2 o'clock in the morning bar hopping? No. So your nightlife personalities, not gonna dig it. Your ultra flexible, no rules homeowners. Doing all the things to your house that you want to do whenever you want to do it. That might be a problem. And then people who need Denver at their fingertips. People who are going to constantly be headed downtown, whether that's for work, that's play, that's constant. Again, you might have struggle there. For my people that just kind of like poking into the city here and there, maybe they go once, twice a month, easy. And especially people who can make that drive during off-peak driving hours, no issue at all. Overall, Castle Rock, like I said, coming from this little teeny speck with outlet malls to a pretty substantial and extremely popular town, among the most popular in South Denver, if not in all of Denver. If you have any questions about it, Lord knows, happy to answer any of those. The number and email you see on your screen, just know that I'm always the person, answer your phone calls, answer your texts, answer your emails, there when and if you need me. That was Living in Castle Rock. 10 legit pros, 5 real cons. This is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everett. Till I see you next time, peace.